Violet Mikami has already endured one of the most devastating losses in Chicago fire history, the death of Chief Evan Hawkins. His sacrifice in the line of duty left her shattered, and it took her months to even begin to move forward. Now, just as she's finally allowing herself to open up to love again with Sam Carver, history seems poised to repeat itself in the cruelest way possible. With Jake Lockett's impending departure from the series, Carver's exit is inevitable, but the question remains, how will he leave? And more importantly, how much more heartbreak can Violet withstand before she breaks completely? The lingering shadow of Hawkins' death. Violet's grief over Hawkins was one of the most emotionally raw arcs in Chicago Fire's recent seasons. Their love story was cut tragically short, leaving her grappling with guilt, anger, and the unbearable weight of what could have been. Even as she tentatively explored a new connection with Carver, she held back, terrified of enduring that kind of pain again. Now, with Carver's alcoholism becoming a central conflict in their relationship, Violet is once again facing the possibility of losing someone she cares about, not to a fire or a tragic accident, but to his own demons. The irony is brutal. After losing Hawkins in the line of duty, she may now lose Carver to a battle he can't win. Carver's downward spiral and Violet's impossible choice. Carver's struggle with alcohol has been simmering for a while, but in episode 19, it became clear that he's barely holding on. His refusal of Violet's coffee invite in favor of an AA meeting was a small sign of progress, but it also underscored how precarious his situation is. If he relapses, or worse, if his drinking leads to a fatal mistake, Violet will be forced to watch another man she loves slip through her fingers. The most heartbreaking possibility is that Carver's exit could mirror Hawkins in the worst way, not through a noble sacrifice, but through self-destruction. Imagine if, in a moment of impaired judgment, he makes a critical error on a call. What if his drinking leads to a fatal accident, either for himself or someone else? The guilt would consume Violet, leaving her wondering if she could have done more to save him. The two possible exits. Which one will hurt more? As it stands, Carver's departure could go one of two ways. A quiet exit, but no closure. Carver could leave Chicago to seek help, either by choice or by force, if his drinking becomes a liability at 51. While this would spare Violet another death, it would still leave her with unresolved feelings. She'd have to watch him walk away, knowing she couldn't fix him, just like she couldn't save Hawkins. A tragic end. Echoing Hawkins' fate. Alternatively, Chicago Fire could deliver another gut-wrenching death. If Carver dies in the line of duty, or even by his own vices, Violet would be forced to relive her worst nightmare. Losing two loves in such a short span could push her to a breaking point, making her question whether she's cursed when it comes to love. How Violet's story could go from here. If Carver dies, Violet's arc in season 14 would be one of survival. She's already proven herself as a resilient paramedic, but losing two partners could make her shut down entirely. Would she throw herself into work, avoiding relationships altogether? Or would she spiral, struggling to keep her own emotions in check? There's also the possibility of a time jump. Perhaps Carver leaves town, and Violet spends months believing he's alive, only to later learn he succumbed to his addiction off-screen. That kind of delayed grief could be even more devastating. What this means for Firehouse 51. Violet isn't the only one who would be affected by Carver's exit. Brett, Kara Kilmer, has been her rock through Hawkins' death, and she'd likely step up again. But how much can one person handle? Meanwhile, the rest of the house would feel the loss deeply, especially if Carver's departure is tied to a major incident. And let's not forget the financial realities behind the scenes. With budget cuts forcing cast reductions, Chicago Fire may not replace Carver's presence, leaving 51 feeling emptier than before. Final thoughts. Is Violet doomed to repeat history? Chicago Fire has never shied away from tragedy, but putting Violet through another loss so soon after Hawkins feels almost cruel. Yet, in true Chicago fashion, the most painful stories are often the most compelling. If Carver's exit is as devastating as Hawkins, Violet's resilience will be tested like never before. The only question left is, how much more can her heart take? As we await Season 14's renewal, which seems all but guaranteed, one thing is certain: Violet Mikami's story is far from over, but it may be about to take its most heartbreaking turn yet.